Hello everyone and welcome to the video. Sorry this one is going to be pretty condensed quickly. I wanted to put it out because there's still a little bit of time of Fantasy Cup left, although we are coming down to the wire. But this is where I hit Legend in the Timeless Travels whole meta series, and I used it using the team of Azumarill, Shadow Magnezone, and Registeel. And I'm using Registeel as the safe swap here. I'm not going to get too much into it ahead of time. Like I said, we're on a timer here, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into the battles. On the right hand side of the screen, we have the team that I used and also the movesets that all of the Pokemon are running. On the left hand side, I'm going to show the leads that I faced. I'm going to show the 3 games that it took for the 3-5 for me to hit Legend. And I'm also going to show a couple other Pokemon that I think are very important to know if you're going to play in the Fantasy League. So let's hop into battle number 1. I faced the Dedenne, which is not great for me against pretty much the entire team. So I safe swapped the Registeel. And of course now comes in a Flygon, which is also not great for me overall. The Azumarill is the best thing to take care of it. So I have to shield up the first attack. It is a Scorching Sands. It doesn't lower my attack. And they don't shield their Flygon, which is great for me. Because I know that a Scorching Sand does not take me out from here. So I'm going to at least get to another or force them to throw their energy. They're not throwing their energy, so I'm going to go ahead and throw this Focus Blast, and then they shield again. So even though they farm down, they're going to come out with a lot of energy on their end. I know that the Azumarill can tank this, so I'm perfectly fine here. I'm going to let that go. Again, they don't get that attack debuff, and I'm swapping into my Magnezone immediately. And they're staying in, so this is a little bit suspicious, right? So I'm like, okay, they don't have a good Magnezone counter in the back, so I'm going to go ahead and shield this up. Thinking that it was a play rough, it would do a lot of damage. As you can see, it was not. They baited me, and you can see how much a play rough does. It does so much. I'm doing a Volt Switch, then throwing the Mirror Shot. They shield this up, and I know that I win Charge Attack priority, but they swap already into the Skarmory. This is still great for me because Skarmory is running Steel Wing, which as you can see is not doing so much. I'm still able to get to the Wild Charge here, knocks out the Skarmory, and I'm immediately swapping back to the Azumarill. Even though they have a discharge loaded, as you can see, it will do a lot of damage. They're not able to get to another one before I bubble down. Alright, jumping into the second game here, we have a Flygon lead. Flygon is probably the hardest thing for this team to deal with, just because it can do a lot of damage also to the Azumarill. So I always shield up the first one, and just seeing what they do, and I always get caught on as well. I'm showing a play rough into a Registeel. That sucks. Great swap by my opponent there. But I think this puts me in an okay position, to be honest, because I am going to shield up this Focus Blast. I'm completely shields down now, but Magnezone just hits like a truck on anything. I'm going straight for the Wild Charge. They don't shield the Registeel. Coming back in with that Flygon, but I do have an energy advantage. Wild Charge does lower my defenses, so these Mud Shots are doing even more, as you can see, but still able to get to yet another Mirror Shot here, forcing a shield on that Flygon, and now also getting the attack debuff. Worse for the wear there. They swap, so I just auto-swap. I didn't even care what came in, and it was a Skarmory. This is great for me. Nothing that the Skarmory throws is going to be doing that much to the Registeel. Even the Brave Bird, which is the heavier hitting, does, okay, it does a chunk, but Registeel is still in the green. And as you can see, since they debuffed themselves, a Focus Blast will take them out. Scorching Sand, again, not going to completely take me out from here. It is going to be a race. They did get the attack debuff as well, which sucks for me, but I don't need that much at this point. Focus Blast going through, getting that last shield. The Flygon does have a lot of energy, but the Azumarill has so much health, and as we saw before, Scorching Sands does a decent amount. 2 of them, however, are not going to be enough to take out this Azumarill. It's going to be a race. Can I bubble down? Yes, I can. Flygon goes down. That's 2 games that I've won now out of the 5 needed for Legend. Also, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I lost 2 of them as well, so I'm 2-2 at this point. So I'm like pretty nervous that I'm not going to be able to hit Legend on this next set. I was at 2-9-9-8 at this point, so I just needed 1 positive set to reach it. Alright, let's get into this infamous game number 3 here, and we're going to go ahead and see an Azumarill mirror match. What I like to do is I want to throw one bubble first, and then I'm going to swap to the Registeel. You could swap automatically, but I just want to make sure that things are synced up a little bit better, and I'm still going to be able to reach that Zap Cannon first. Going to throw that Zap Cannon. They shielded up. I don't get the attack debuff either, so I know that this Hydro Pump, if it is a Hydro Pump, is going to be doing full damage. It is, bringing that Registeel down to the yellow, but I know that, again, I'm going to outpace. I'm going to get to this Zap Cannon before they get to the next Hydro Pump. They're using no shield there, no debuff once again, so this is sort of a bummer in the sense that Registeel should beat Azumarill, but the Hydro Pump takes it out, but now this is great for me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to completely farm down. I know that this is just an Ice Beam, but I want to shield it up because Magnezone now has a lot of energy, and it's going to be doing well, I think, against a lot of the backline because of the shadow damage. I'm going for Mirror Shot bait, and it does get the shield here, and I was going to go for Wild Charge, but they threw the Power Whip first, which is great because it doesn't do a lot of damage, as you can see, but because Wild Charge debuffs yourself, that would have done a lot more in that case. So I do double Wild Charge there, and then, as you can see, it takes out the Ferrothorn, which is actually pronounced Ferrothorn. Dumb. And then I just immediately swap into the Azumarill. Skarmory does have a decent matchup. It's sort of 50-50 there, but because it was a full health Azumarill, they had no shields left. I would have taken that matchup, and that is how I got to Legend. So yeah, those were the 3 games that it took to get me to Legend, but I am going to show just a couple more leads that I think are kind of fun and important to play out in this Fantasy Cup. Alright, so let's get into one of the trickiest matchups I think we have, and that is against a Shadow Magnezone lead. I automatically safe swap to my Magnezone as quick as possible, but this is a baiting game 100%, and I will say 9 out of 10 Magnezones do go for that Mirror Shot. They didn't shield it, that's horrible for me, and I also shielded their Mirror Shot bait. I am able to get to another one here. They once again don't shield, but I said, okay, this is worse for the wear at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and double shield it. It is that Wild Charge, which would have knocked me out. And then they come in with the Tapu Fini. I am going to now go for yet another Mirror Shot bait. They do shield it, but I am forcing them to throw, because if not, I would have gotten to a Wild Charge and gotten their last shield or knocked out the Tapu Fini. Now I'm coming in with the Registeel. As you can see, Registeel also will be doing pretty good. The Water Gun damage plus the Surf does add up in the Registeel, so I do a little bit of counting and I catch the Surf on the Azumarill. And now it's just a Bubble versus a Water Gun matchup, but the Tapu Fini is quite low, even though they are at a Moonblast, even though this is Charge Move priority, and I should have waited. I wanted to be able to get it so they couldn't swap out and try to catch my Play Rough on anything else. So now in comes their own Azumarill. It does put me in a tricky spot because they still do have a shield left as well. So I'm going straight for this Play Rough. They shielded up, which is, hey, great for me. Coming back in with that Registeel because the timer's down. They had to take it. They got the attack debuff. They tried to swap in the Magnezone, but the Magnezone had taken so much damage from mine that just a couple of lock-ons ended up taking it out. They realized as well, even if they had Hydro Pump, which they did not, they were just running a Play Rough Ice Beam, then it wouldn't have been enough to take out the Registeel, and they go ahead and concede the matchup. The main point of that one I just wanted to show is that Magnezones are a very, very tough lead, and it can go either way. I normally don't shield if they throw first, even though it could be a Wild Charge, and I would say 9 out of 10 times it's not, but the one time that it was a Wild Charge, that Shadow Magnezone ended up sweeping my entire team. Let's go ahead and hop into the last battles that I want to show you, and that is against a Kommo-o here. They're always running Poison Jab in Fantasy Cup, so I know this. I'm automatically swapping out into the Registeel. I know that they're also running Close Combat, but if they throw a Close Combat like my opponent does now, it lowers their own defenses. So now I'm throwing a Zap Cannon here, which wouldn't have knocked it out before, but definitely would have at this point. And I also get an attack drop. Beautiful. So now, even though I know they outpace, even if this is another Close Combat, it's not going to be enough to take me out, and I'm going to be able to throw a Focus Blast because they are double debuffed in their defense. Also, now their attack is a little bit debuffed. They use both shields here, so I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, Registeel, you did your job. I'm going to let it go down. I'm coming in with the Magnezone here because the Poison Jabs don't do a lot, and like I said, the defenses were double debuffed. I was counting, I was pretty sure it was a Dragon Claw, but I didn't want to take any chances because a Close Combat would knock me out. And they swap on my my charge attack. How dare they? So they catch that Mirror Shot on the Azumarill. no sweat, still able to get to a wild charge before they are able to get to another. And I can tell something in the back is definitely weak to Magnezone. They're coming in with it too. It's a Skarmory. I think they're hoping they could get to a Sky Attack beforehand, recognized that they couldn't, and went ahead and conceded that matchup. So those were just some extra games. I just wanted to showcase a couple different Pokemon that I did play against in the Fantasy Cup and how I like to play that out. Some other ones are Empoleons. I've been running into a few of those. What I do is I automatically swap to Registeel. I shield up the first Hydro Cannon, and I throw what's it called? Zap Cannon. I throw a Zap Cannon at the Empoleon. Hopefully it gets the attack debuff, but even if it doesn't, I don't shield up the next one. I let that Registeel go down, and I come in with the Magnezone to do a lot of damage overall. Another one that I think is important to know how to play against is going to be the Sandslash or the Alolan Sandslash. Shadow or regular variant. What I like to do is I build up to a Hydro Pump on my Azumarill. I go ahead and tank that first drill run. I throw a Play Rough bait to get that first shield, and then I swap to the Registeel. I will use my shield on the Registeel for one of the drill runs, and then I'll throw a Focus Blast and see whether or not they want to use both shields on that Alolan Sandslash. And then you just kind of play it out from there. So that is how I reached Legend in the Timeless Travels meta with this team in the Fantasy Cup. Good games to all my opponents. Good luck to all the rest of you on your climb. Sorry that's in Fantasy Cup and it's going away pretty soon. I still think it's important, and Fantasy Cup always comes back as well. So this could be a team to use the next rotation when it comes back. We'll see you all in the next video.